What's up, spacers? This is your specialist, the Space Technician. That's right. News is that on February 26th, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, closed the investigation into the second flight of SpaceX's Starship. We've got some big updates on the latest developments following its explosive second test flight and what the FAA has to say about it. Now, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future space videos as we follow all the action with Starship and beyond. Okay, let's get right into it. Remember, strapping in is optional, but recommended. So the FAA has officially closed its investigation into the Starship flight mishap that saw both the massive Super Heavy booster and Starship upper stage erupt in fireballs during return operations. No injuries, but certainly two very rapid, unexpected disassemblies, as SpaceX would say. After leading the anomaly investigation efforts alongside the FAA and NTSB, SpaceX outlined the key conclusions behind what caused each stage to fail, as well as the corrective actions they'll be taking to address these for the next test flight potentially coming up in just a few weeks' time in March 2024. Very exciting stuff. So, on November 18th, 2022, Starship and Super Heavy had a mostly successful launch from SpaceX's Starbase site in Texas. All 33 massive Raptor engines on Super Heavy fired up beautifully, and the giant rocket stage completed its full duration ascent burn for the first time, a huge milestone. Starship then conducted the risky but essential maneuver of separating from Super Heavy while its engines were still burning. This is known as a hot staging separation, and it was the first time it has ever been performed on a vehicle of this unprecedented size. Hot staging requires igniting the upper stage while the lower stage is still firing, allowing the upper stage to pull away cleanly. It maximizes performance compared to shutting off the lower stage first, but it also introduces extreme challenges around managing explosive propellants when the connection point is essentially a giant blowtorch. In the case of Starship and Super Heavy, we're talking 33 massive Raptor engines still blazing at liftoff when the 6 smaller Raptors on Starship itself ignite. Those 6 have to ramp up to full thrust and pit that power against the launch clamp connections joining the 2 stages. In a carefully choreographed sequence, the locks release right as the upper stage engines pass critical thrust thresholds. This allows Starship to victoriously pull away and continue the rest of its ascent. It's nuts when you think about this delicate fiery separation taking place between a 165-foot tall Starship and 230-foot tall booster. We're essentially igniting and launching an entire Falcon 9 rocket mid-air off the world's most powerful launch vehicle while it's still going full throttle. But trouble hit shortly after. While attempting a boost back and landing burn, several of Super Heavy's Raptors unexpectedly shut down. This caused one engine to fail energetically, rapidly triggering an explosive chain reaction across the massive booster. So close, yet so far for recovery. You see, after Starship separation, Super Heavy continues its trajectory to an apogee, leveling out and pivoting to angle its engine for the all-important boost back and landing sequence. SpaceX was attempting to ignite 13 of the booster's 33 Raptors to begin reducing velocity, steering and targeting a controlled landing in the Gulf about 9 minutes after launch. However, during this boost back burn, several engines abruptly shut down. Unexpected for sure. This unstable condition resulted in one engine failing energetically. We're likely talking a fiery explosion from leaking propellants. This appeared to cause adjacent engines to also flare up, triggering a swift conflagration cascade through the entire Super Heavy airframe at around 15 kilometers altitude. Shut down. Game over. RIP Super Heavy 2. Investigating the anomaly, SpaceX believes clogged filters which supply liquid oxygen to the thirsty Raptors were at fault, starving the affected engines during that crucial landing sequence. So, while losing 4 massive Falcon 9 rockets worth of engines to flameouts mid-air, and the subsequent rapid disassembly event was tragic, the silver lining is SpaceX quickly understood the root cause and can now implement targeted improvements for the next flight. We can expect some propellant filtration upgrades on future boosters to hopefully prevent another rapid fiery disassembly. As for Starship, it was soaring on a most nominal flight profile after separation from Super Heavy, blazing its 6 Raptors full throttle, when at around T+7 minutes, the team had to initiate a venting procedure to dispose of excess liquid oxygen propellant. But this luckless event ended up causing a damaging leak at the vent site, resulting in a fire erupting on the vehicle's underside. You see, SpaceX had actually intentionally loaded more liquid oxygen propellant than needed on board to gather data reflective of future payload delivery configurations. While advantageous for responsibly disposing of millions of dollars worth of space hardware in the ocean. So around max Q, when aerodynamic pressures peaked on descent, they executed a vent release to reduce mass. However, this operation resulted in an unexpected leak near the aft bulkhead, strong indications of structural damage as well. The situation then rapidly escalated, with the leakage seemingly sparking a deflagration event below Starship. Bright flames began enveloping the engine bay. Certainly not ideal. This fire severely compromised Starship's avionics systems, resulting in a loss of communication between the flight computers. With its guidance blind and compromised, automatic safety protocols kicked in. The confused flight computer had no choice but to prematurely shut down the 6 Raptor main engines before they could complete the engine burn to reach orbit. Moments later, the autonomous flight termination system initiated the final destructive measure of commanding full vehicle disintegration to terminate the anomalous aircraft. A disappointing but prudent end to a valiant test flight effort. So, while Starship met a fiery finale as well, this critical test again offered stacks of key telemetry to strengthen future vehicles, kindling for the fire of iterative design. So while both stages met their demise before any hopes of recovery, the test flight provided volumes of key data to feed into design iterations and operational improvements. Now, how cool is that? Let me know if we should expand on any areas further. There are so many awesome technical details we could dive into around propulsion, avionics, flight safety systems. Maybe that's material for some future videos. But for now, on to the next flight. The key takeaway here is that SpaceX made tremendous progress despite the explosive ending on Flight 2, incrementally expanding the flight envelope and collecting volumes of pivotal test data to feed onward. They've pinpointed exactly what needs tweaking, from propellant filtration to avionics durability, to understanding more benign venting operations, so they know exactly what to upgrade to try and finally achieve full recovery on the monumental upcoming 3rd test flight. Smash that like button if you're pumped for the next launch attempt. I know I sure am. After closely analyzing the first 2 campaign results and corrective actions, I'm predicting March is SpaceX's time to shine. Starship reaching orbit. Hopefully no delays. This test flight is slated to validate orbital refilling operations and the full complement of entry, descent, and landing capabilities. Fingers crossed, we witness silky smooth performance all the way to splashdown to thoroughly prove out their vision of rapid, economical, repeatable access to space. And if you thought Flight 2 was wild, wait until you see 33 Raptors thunderously boosting Starship into the Florida skies later next month. Followed shortly thereafter by the epic spiral descent re-entry burn and landing flip maneuver straight out of the retro sci-fi fantasies. This flight is going to rock. Let me know your personal predictions in the comments below. Will Starship clinch orbital glory on flight number 3? Can the Mega Moon rocket prototype finally ace landing for reuse too? I want to hear those hot takes. Smash notifications and ring the bell so you catch our recap and analysis following the big day itself. We'll have tons more technical details to geek out over once more actual flight data comes flooding in from the sensors. This test campaign is shaping up to thrill. Let's go SpaceX! This is the Space Technician, signing off for now. And I'll see you, Space Cowboys, in the next one.